Under the pale glow of moonlight, a tiny figure curled up against the cold metal of a playground slide. 8-year-old Sophia clutched her threadbare jacket around herself like makeshift bedding, her weathered backpack serving as her pillow, containing the few possessions that made up her entire world. For 3 consecutive nights, she had made this playground her temporary home, enduring the harsh October winds that swept relentlessly through Oakwood Park. "This place isn't some kind of motel, kid." The stern voice shattered the quiet night, startling Sophia awake. Before her stood an imposing figure in a pristine business suit, his German Shepherd companion gleaming under the streetlights. The dog's collar alone was worth more than Sophia's entire wardrobe. "I apologize, mister. I'll leave right away," she responded with remarkable poise for someone her age, hastily collecting her belongings. Alexander Reed, a 45-year-old business mogul who owned Reed Enterprises and controlled much of the city's premium real estate, scowled at the interruption. His nightly strolls with Maximus were his sole escape from endless phone calls, board meetings, and constant pressure. Discovering a homeless child in his neighborhood park wasn't on tonight's agenda. "Where might your parents be?" Alexander inquired, studying the girl's alert, wary eyes. Fear was absent from her gaze. Instead, there was a weary acceptance that seemed far too mature for such a young person. "My mama's coming back any day now," Sophia recited mechanically, the words clearly rehearsed. "She told me to stay put, right here." "How long has she been gone?" Alexander pressed. After a moment's hesitation, 4 days now." Something twisted uncomfortably in Alexander's chest. A young child alone and exposed to the elements for nearly a week. Drawing closer, he noticed details the shadows had previously hidden. Her neatly braided but unkempt curls, clothing that was clean but obviously too small, and a fresh cut above her right eyebrow. Surprisingly, Maximus, who typically growled at unfamiliar faces, walked up to the girl and gently nuzzled her palm. For the first time, Sophia's face lit up with a genuine smile that completely transformed her weary expression. "What do they call you?" Alexander asked, his tone softening. "Sophia. Sophia Jackson. When did you last have a proper meal, Sophia?" She lifted her shoulders in a shrug, a gesture far too worldly for her years. "Yesterday, maybe. Found half a sandwich in my bag." Alexander pulled out his cell phone, prepared to contact the authorities when something made him pause. The expression that crossed Sophia's face when she spotted the device wasn't terror. It was resignation, as though she'd already anticipated what came next and was simply bracing for the inevitable. "This has happened before," he observed, not really asking. Sophia nodded slowly. "Child services, temporary shelter, new family, different school, until my mother tracks me down again." She rattled off the sequence like someone intimately familiar with the system. Alexander Reed had never been celebrated for his compassion. His business reputation was actually quite the opposite. Merciless, calculating, a corporate shark who'd built his fortune by acquiring undervalued properties and converting them into luxury developments, regardless of the families displaced in the process. "Business is business," had always been his motto. Yet something about this child's quiet strength affected him in ways that no boardroom conflict or negative press coverage ever had. "Come along," he finally said, extending his hand. "It's too bitter out here to keep talking." Walking toward his BMW 7 Series, Alexander noticed Sophia favoring one leg slightly. The limp was subtle. Most people would miss it entirely. "Sometimes my leg bothers me," she explained, catching his observation. "From an accident." "What sort of accident?" Her gaze shifted away. "The type that happens when you're somewhere you shouldn't be at the wrong moment." At the nearest all-night diner, Alexander watched silently as Sophia ate with deliberate care, as if savoring each morsel and storing the memory for future hungry nights. He questioned her about school, her mother, their previous living situation. Her answers emerged slowly, like reluctant puzzle pieces being shared one at a time. Lisa Jackson, Sophia's mother, earned money cleaning various businesses. They'd been forced from their apartment when the building was purchased by a property developer. the same developer who'd recently bought several blocks on the south side for a new upscale project. Reed Enterprises. Alexander felt his throat constrict. "Where has your mother gone?" he asked, dreading her response. "She's searching for work in another town," Sophia answered, her eyes meeting Alexander's with unsettling directness. "She promised to return once she finds steady employment." Alexander Reed, who'd never experienced guilt when authorizing eviction notices, suddenly confronted the human toll of his business decisions, embodied in an 8-year-old girl sleeping on playground equipment because his company had demolished the only home she'd ever known. If this tale of social inequality and possible redemption has captured your interest, make sure to subscribe to our channel to discover how an unexpected meeting at a deserted playground can dramatically change not just a young girl's future, but also soften the hardened heart of a man who believed success and empathy were incompatible. Surrounded by screens showing record-breaking profits, Alexander gazed through his penthouse office window. The vision of Sophia sleeping on that slide haunted his thoughts. After arranging for her temporary placement in a quality hotel with a social worker who agreed to maintain discretion, he now obsessively researched the evictions his company had executed in the South Side neighborhoods. "Mr. Reed, here's that file you requested," Rebecca announced, setting a thick folder on his desk. Alexander opened it, examining each property his company had acquired recently, his attention focusing on one particular address, 143 Maple Avenue, Sophia's former home. "Get Victor Hamilton on the phone immediately." When his attorney arrived, Victor's usual confidence wavered upon seeing Alexander's grim demeanor. "Walk me through exactly what happened to the residents of the Maple complex," Alexander demanded, sliding the file across his desk. "Standard operating procedure. Proper notices, minimal compensation packages," Victor answered uncomfortably. "And regarding those who refused to vacate?" The lawyer loosened his collar. "Alternative persuasion methods, strategic utility disruptions, plumbing issues, typical market pressure tactics, including this specific family?" Alexander indicated Lisa Jackson's name. "Ah, yes." Victor checked his notes. "Single parent, domestic worker, priority removal due to prime location. We intensified pressure on her case. Once we discovered she had a child, we leveraged that to accelerate the timeline. Kids are always their vulnerability." Alexander suppressed his rising anger. "Vulnerability. Difficult tenants who resist urban improvement," Victor added dismissively. Following day, Alexander positioned himself discreetly outside West Side School, where Sophia had been temporarily enrolled. During lunch break, he observed her sitting alone with a book, periodically glancing toward the entrance as if expecting someone. "She's always like that," commented a voice nearby. "Watchful, reserved, more grown up than most adults I know." Alexander turned toward a middle-aged black woman wearing a school identification badge. "Diana Carter, school counselor. And you're Alexander Reed, I presume. How did you recognize me?" "Everyone in this community knows Alexander Reed, the man whose companies are destroying our neighborhood homes. I came to check on Sophia's welfare." "Feeling remorseful?" "Absolutely," he admitted without hesitation. "I want to make things right for her." Diana studied him carefully. Lisa Jackson juggled 3 jobs to afford that apartment. When she challenged the eviction, strange coincidences started occurring. What kind of coincidences? Water damage, electrical problems. When she confronted the building manager, she returned home to find Sophia injured. She'd fallen and gashed her forehead during an emergency inspection. Alexander's hands clenched into fists. "Continue." Lisa lost her primary job while Sophia was hospitalized, then her second job for tardiness. The bus route serving their area was mysteriously discontinued during the neighborhood revitalization spearheaded by Reed Enterprises. And Lisa's current whereabouts. She left Sophia at the park while attending a job interview in Hampton. When she returned, police had surrounded the area. Someone reported suspicious activity. She fled, terrified of losing custody if authorities found them homeless. That evening, Alexander examined documents revealing a horrific pattern. Hundreds of families displaced to construct luxury condominiums that frequently remained half vacant. His phone buzzed with Victor's call. "Alex, we need to discuss Lisa Jackson. Greg's concerned she might create problems. He has connections in social services who could expedite the adoption process." Alexander's blood turned ice cold. "Victor, if anyone from this company approaches that child or her mother again, I'll personally guarantee they spend their remaining years behind bars." After ending the call, he immediately dialed another number. "Diana, it's Alexander Reed. We need to meet. I believe I know how to locate Lisa Jackson." 3 days later, Alexander sat nervously in a Hampton restaurant. Diana entered with a woman in cleaning scrubs. "Mr. Reed, meet Lisa Jackson." Lisa's eyes, mirror images of Sophia's, hardened with recognition. "What's this about? Where's my daughter?" "Sophia's safe at school," Alexander assured her. "I have a proposition that could transform both your lives, because I finally understand how much my greed has devastated real families." Lisa regarded him suspiciously, though her eyes reflected the same dignity Alexander had witnessed in Sophia. "Please," he said gently, "allow me to repair what I've broken." Unknown to Alexander, his partner Gregory Peterson, who oversaw priority evictions, was already mobilizing, determined to eliminate any threats before Alexander made emotional decisions that could impact profits. Meanwhile, in her temporary hotel room, Sophia carefully sketched her mother and herself with a house in the background. Not the one they'd lost, but one she imagined. In the drawing's corner, almost as an afterthought, she included a tall figure with a dog. Sometimes healing begins before we even realize the process has started. The Reed Enterprises conference room buzzed with journalists, investors, and curious staff members. Gregory Peterson straightened his tie with a confident grin. As Alexander's majority partner, he'd convened this emergency meeting to address company stability, a corporate euphemism for the hostile takeover he was orchestrating. "Ladies and gentlemen," Gregory opened, his voice dripping with manufactured concern, "regrettably, we must address Alexander Reed's recent emotional volatility." Whispers spread through the audience. Alexander's conspicuous absence provided Gregory the perfect opening. "In recent weeks, Alexander has made rash decisions threatening our stock value. He's canceled 3 profitable projects and is reopening settled eviction cases." Gregory displayed charts projecting declining profits. "All because of some street child he encountered." The rear entrance opened quietly. No one noticed Alexander, entering with Diana Carter, Lisa Jackson, and a man carrying a briefcase. "As board members, we must protect this company," Gregory continued, projecting a document. "I present a psychological assessment indicating Alexander is experiencing a midlife crisis compromising his judgment. I recommend temporary leave while he receives treatment." "Fascinating." Alexander's voice sliced through the air like a blade. Gregory froze, color draining from his face. "Please, continue, Greg." Alexander strode down the center aisle. "Explain how I became emotionally unstable after discovering our company systematically destroys lives for maximum profit." Gregory regained composure. "Alex, we're worried about you. This obsession with one family—" "It's not one family," Alexander interrupted, taking the presentation remote. "Mr. Alvarez, please share your findings." The briefcase-carrying man connected his laptop to the system. "Following 3 weeks of forensic analysis of Reed Enterprises operations, I've documented 342 instances of illegal eviction practices spanning 5 years. The screen filled with meticulously organized documents, emails, and audio recordings. Intimidation tactics." The investigator clicked an audio file. Gregory's voice echoed clearly. "Help them understand that accidents occur when people don't cooperate." Falsified safety inspections. Doctored reports appeared on screen. Official bribery. Bank transfers filled the display. Each revelation drew horrified gasps from the room. Reporters typed frantically. Gregory attempted damage control. "This is absurd. These documents are fabricated." "We forwarded copies to the Justice Department this morning," Alexander stated calmly. along with the Securities and Exchange Commission, since you and Victor misappropriated shareholder funds for these operations. Gregory's complexion alternated between ashen and crimson. You're going down with us. You authorized everything. Indeed I did, Alexander acknowledged, surprising everyone with his honesty. And I'll accept responsibility. But unlike you, I'm attempting to correct my errors. Alexander gestured for Lisa to join him. This is Lisa Jackson, one of hundreds we evicted using illegal methods. Her daughter Sophia slept on playground equipment because of our actions. Lisa addressed the room with dignity. I worked my entire life providing my daughter a secure home. You didn't just take our apartment, you actively sabotaged my attempts to find work and housing. Alexander indicated the screen where images appeared of an unprecedented development for Reed Enterprises. This is Project Renewal, converting 3 luxury developments into affordable housing, prioritizing families we previously evicted. Angry protests erupted from shareholders. Profits will be reduced, Alexander acknowledged, but sustainable and legal. Gregory laughed bitterly. You think he cares about that girl? About any of you? This is Alexander Reed. He demolished entire neighborhoods for empty condominiums. This is theater to alleviate guilt. Diana stepped forward. Perhaps it's someone's first genuine step toward acknowledging their mistakes. As an educator, I witness it frequently. Change begins when we stop denying responsibility. Gregory lunged toward Alexander, finger pointed accusingly. You won't sacrifice me to salvage your reputation. I'm not salvaging my reputation, Greg. I'm saving my soul. Alexander faced the shareholders. The choice is yours. Continue as before facing lawsuits and criminal prosecution, or transform our model to rebuild trust and legality. The doors opened again. Sophia entered hesitantly, clutching her drawing. Her eyes found her mother's first, then Alexander's. She represents everyone we've harmed, Alexander said softly, and she possesses more courage and integrity than everyone in this room combined. Gregory, realizing defeat, played his final card. You'll regret this decision, Alex. You have no idea what you're doing. Alexander smiled genuinely for the first time. Actually, for the first time in years, I know exactly what I'm doing. As security escorted Gregory away, Alexander knelt before Sophia. Thank you, he whispered. For what? She asked. For showing me it's never too late to do what's right. At the room's back, a reporter captured the moment when the feared real estate mogul had tears in his eyes as a little girl handed him a simple drawing. A silent lesson that true wealth isn't measured by properties or bank balances, but by recognizing our shared humanity, even when discovered in the most unexpected places and humblest circumstances. 6 months have elapsed since what became known as the Great Awakening at Reed Enterprises. What started as corporate confrontation evolved into a movement that rippled throughout the national real estate industry. The company's stock initially dropped, but then stabilized at a new level, lower yet more sustainable. Alexander toured what had once been another inaccessible luxury condominium. Now the Oakwood Gardens complex housed a diverse mix of families from various economic backgrounds. A modern playground occupied the courtyard center, with children of all ethnicities playing together, their laughter resonating between the renovated buildings. It's remarkable what 6 months can accomplish, Diana observed, walking alongside him. As the new Reed Foundation for Fair Housing director, she supervised the transformation of properties into affordable housing. Convincing shareholders wasn't simple, Alexander admitted. Many still consider me insane. True insanity would be continuing as before, Diana replied. That was collective madness disguised as business. Alexander smiled, watching a group of children. Among them, Sophia was teaching a clapping game to 2 younger girls. Her hair now featured colorful beads, and most importantly, her face wore the carefree expression every child deserves. In the community center, Lisa Jackson, now manager of the Foundation's job training program, was counseling residents about employment opportunities. Her voice radiated confidence. showing no trace of the exhausted, desperate woman from months earlier. Phase 2 apartments will be completed next week, Lisa informed Alexander upon seeing him. We've confirmed 15 families from your former East Side complex. As they spoke, a limousine arrived at the complex entrance. Gregory Peterson, handcuffed and escorted by federal agents, was brought for a court-mandated visit before his final sentencing. "Is this your handiwork, Alex?" Gregory asked bitterly, observing the happy families around him. "Converting luxury developments into subsidized housing. We built an empire." "We built it on suffering," Alexander replied calmly. "The difference is I can sleep peacefully now." Gregory's eyes widened, recognizing Lisa and Sophia approaching. "This is because of them? You destroyed everything for a cleaning woman and her daughter." "No, Greg. It was because of me. Because I discovered who I wanted to become." Alexander placed his hand on Sophia's shoulder. "And because I learned true success isn't measured in dollars." After agents removed Gregory, Lisa approached Alexander. "Are the investigations progressing?" Alexander nodded. 32 families have received compensation for illegal evictions. Another 170 cases are under review. "And your charges?" "Reduced but not dismissed," Alexander added. "I cooperated fully. My sentence will likely be community service and fines. Nothing compared to what Greg faces for obstruction and evidence tampering." Later, at the Sophia Jackson Community Center opening, crowds gathered to celebrate. The center would provide everything from legal assistance to job training for vulnerable families. Sophia, wearing a bright yellow dress, cut the ribbon alongside Alexander. Photographers captured the moment. The once ruthless real estate mogul smiling beside a little girl who'd inadvertently sparked a revolution. "You know what I appreciate most about all this?" Sophia asked as they toured the center. "What's that? No one else will have to sleep on playground equipment." That evening after celebrations, Alexander sat on the park bench where everything began. The old slide had been replaced with modern equipment, part of his initiative revitalizing public spaces in low-income areas. Lisa found him there, contemplative under the starlit sky. "I thought you'd be celebrating with your new business associates." "I needed time to think," he replied, making space for her. "You know, before that night, I believed success meant accumulating more than necessary at others' expense." Lisa studied his profile in the dim park lighting. "And now?" "Now I understand true wealth lies in how our actions impact others." Alexander turned toward her. "When I found Sophia, I hoped to rescue a child. I didn't realize I was being rescued." Maximus, the German shepherd who'd first approached Sophia that fateful night, appeared trotting across the grass, followed by Sophia herself in pajamas, apparently having escaped her babysitter. "You should see the playground at night," she declared, settling between them. "It's much better when it's empty." Alexander laughed, a genuine sound becoming increasingly frequent. "Some lessons require special teachers," he said, exchanging meaningful glances with Lisa. As the impromptu little family gazed up at the night sky together, Alexander reflected on how sometimes we must lose everything we thought we wanted to discover what truly matters. A little black girl sleeping on a playground had taught him more about humanity, justice, and purpose than decades of empire building. If this story moved you, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more stories demonstrating how unexpected encounters can spark profound transformations and how our most vulnerable moments often unlock doors to our greatest redemptions.